All right, so if you needed any more proof that the party of law and order treats the law less like a sacred text and more like a suggestion box that they set on fire, look no further than what just happened in the House Homeland Security Committee. We are watching the top immigration official in the country essentially argue that following the law is optional if you really, really don't like it. They aren't trying to enforce the rules. They are trying to rewrite them in real time with a badge and a gun, all while telling you that you're crazy for noticing. So that brings us to this explosive hearing where Representative Dan Goldman grilled DHS Secretary Kristi Noem on two very simple, very disturbing things: whether her department is illegally deporting people who are following the rules, and why her officers are running around New York City in masks like they're in a bad action movie. What you are about to see is Noem trying to dance around a direct yes or no question about asylum law, followed by a video of an arrest so egregious that even DHS called it unacceptable right before they put the guy back on the street. Let's watch what happened, and I will give you my take at the end of it.
Let's talk about the law. Do you agree that asylum is a lawful pathway to immigrate to this country? Yes or no?
There's an asylum program, yes, in place.
All right. So immigrants then with ongoing asylum applications are legally in this country, correct?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Your question was?
Immigrants with ongoing asylum applications are legally in this country.
There are individuals in this country that have applications that...
And they are legally here because it's a lawful pathway, right?
It's a lawful pathway.
Okay, so if your department then deports anyone with an ongoing asylum application, you are violating the law, correct?
Joe Biden left us with...
I'm not asking about Joe Biden. I'm asking you a specific question. If your department deports anyone with an ongoing asylum application, you are violating the law. Is that correct?
It was greatly violated when they allowed
I'm asking you.
people to come
I'm
in
asking
and granted asylum applications.
Why are you filibustering? Why can't you answer the question? It's a simple question.
Your president,
if your department
and your secretary
deports anyone with an ongoing asylum application, you are violating the law. Isn't that correct?
The asylum program was broken under the last...
Mr. Chairman, I will reclaim my time. She's not answering the question. But the obvious answer is that, yes, if you follow a lawful pathway, asylum is a lawful pathway. If you have an open asylum case, you are here lawfully. But the problem that we are seeing around the country is that you are not following the law. Don't tell us to change the law. If you don't like the asylum system, you change the asylum law. Bring it to us. We'll work with you. I think it needs to be changed. But you can't just decide that you're not going to follow the law, and asylum is a law, and deport people who have ongoing applications. Unfortunately, that is exactly what's happening. It's happening across the street from my office right in New York City. Numerous, thousands of people who have come to court appearances, have left them with open asylum applications, have been arrested. And then they've been shipped off and many deported. In September, one applicant was ripped away from his wife and small children after such a court appearance. And then this happened to his wife. Please play the video. No, it's not. It's not this one. All right, it's not this video. Here it is.
I'm yours. Oh, come on, man.
Now, after this incident, your department issued a statement that said the officer's conduct in this video is unacceptable and beneath the men and women of ICE. Our ICE law enforcement are held to the highest professional standards, and this officer is being relieved of current duties as we conduct a full investigation. 3 days later, you reinstated that officer and you put him back on duty. I sent you a letter and asked you what investigation was done and why was he reinstated. You did not answer that letter. So I'm going to give you an opportunity right here to explain to me that if that officer's conduct was, quote, beneath the men and women of ICE, unquote, why did you reinstate him?
Sir, that investigation was completed. I can give you that investigation and the information that you would like. This is.
Well, I wrote you 2 months ago. Why haven't you given it to me yet?
I'm actually surprised that you haven't gotten it. I'm going to ask my staff about that.
Well, you shouldn't be surprised because generally speaking, you do not
hundreds, if
respond
not
to
thousands
us.
of your letters.
Now, the other problem that we are
Mayorkas, when he had
seeing
this
all
job,
over
didn't
the
respond to
country
letters for years.
is that your officers are wearing masks, are dressed in plain clothes, often going around without identification.
All of our officers are
And
identified.
I'm not asking a question. I introduced the No Secret Police Act to stop this. And we now have 113 co-sponsors so that they will not be masked and that they will identify themselves. Now, you say all of them are identifying themselves. That is not the case because last month in New York City again, the NYPD officers were injured by your masked plainclothes ICE officers after they were called from 911 as residents witnessed your officers pulling individuals out of their vehicles and chasing them down the street. I also asked you what happened there. How were the NYPD officers injured by your officers? And you didn't respond. What's the answer?
Sir, our individual officers are identified.
Gentleman's time has expired.
I yield back.
I recognize gentleman from Texas, Mr. Gonzalez.
I mean, if you're watching that and feeling like you just watched a government official shrug off the concept of legal requirements, you're right. But it's actually worse than just a bad answer. So here's what you need to know. First, on the asylum question, Noem refused to answer, but the law is not ambiguous here. According to 8 U.S. Code Section 1158, any alien who is physically present in the United States may apply for asylum. Once that application is filed, they have a legal right to remain in the country until their case is adjudicated. That is the statute. It's not a suggestion, it's the law. When Noem says Biden left us with millions of cases, she is trying to distract you from the fact that her department is deporting people who are literally in the middle of a legal process. It is the equivalent of a judge sentencing you to prison before your trial has even started because the court calendar is too full. Second, let's talk about that reinstated officer. This is the receipt section. Goldman pointed out that DHS issued a statement calling the conduct unacceptable and beneath the men and women of ICE. But according to the timeline established in this hearing, that officer was back on the job 3 days later. If this was truly unacceptable, why was he reinstated 72 hours later? The answer is simple. The cruelty is the point. They aren't investigating these abuses. They are rubber stamping them. And finally, the secret police tactic. This isn't just a rhetorical flourish. Goldman cited an incident where NYPD officers, actual uniformed police, were injured by masked ICE agents because nobody knew who they were. When you have federal agents running around in plain clothes, wearing masks, refusing to identify themselves, that is not law enforcement. That is a paramilitary squad. And according to the No Secret Police Act referenced here, this is happening often enough that 113 members of Congress signed on to stop it. Noem claims, all our officers are identified, but we just heard that NYPD 911 dispatchers were sending cops to stop what they thought was a kidnapping, only to find out it was DHS. This is the part where you ask yourself, if they are the good guys, why are they wearing masks? So what does this actually mean? It means that the safeguards meant to protect people from government overreach are being dismantled. Today it's an asylum seeker. Tomorrow, it's anyone they decide is in the way. It's like giving your house keys to a burglar because he promised to only steal the stuff you don't use. If federal agents can operate without identification and ignore the legal status of the people they arrest, there is no rule of law. There is only force. We are watching the normalization of a police state mentality within the bureaucracy. When the Secretary of Homeland Security cannot say yes to the question, is asylum legal? She is signaling to every agent under her command that the law doesn't matter. This erodes trust not just in ICE, but in every institution. And let's be clear, adversaries around the world are watching this and laughing at our lectures on human rights. And for what? Is this making us safer? No. It's actually endangering local police, as we saw with the NYPD. Is it making the system more efficient? No. It's creating legal chaos. The only reason to do this, to reinstate abusive officers and hide their identities, is to instill fear. It is a strategy of intimidation, pure and simple. So here's where we stand. We have a DHS secretary who won't admit what the law says, an agency that reinstates abusive officers in 3 days, and a federal police force clashing with local cops because they refuse to show their badges. This isn't about border security. That is the distraction. This is about whether the executive branch is above the law. When they say illegal, they don't mean against the law. They mean people we don't like. And remember my cactus analogy. We are now at the point where they are handing out gloves to the cactus. When someone tells you this is about law and order, tell them you can't have law and order if the people enforcing the law refuse to follow it. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel to stay updated with our latest content. Thanks so much for watching.